Everest, one of the most interesting surviving movie in the world. It was released on 2015, directed and produced by Balthazar Cormacue and written by William Nicholson and Simon Buffy. It's based on the true events of the 1996 Mount Everest disaster and focuses on the survival attempts of two expedition groups, one led by Rob Hall and the other by Scott Fisher. The character of Rob Hall was done by Jason Clarke and Scott Fisher by Jake Gyllenhaal. The story starts when Rob says goodbye to his pregnant wife Jan and promises that he will be home for the birth of the new child. The expeditions make it to the bottom of the mountain before heading on up toward the base camp. There, Rob runs into Scott Fisher, the leader of Mountain Madness. He is a bit peeved at Rob for getting John to move to this expedition, but is still on fine terms. Later, Rob introduces the team to the camp's Dr. Caroline. She and Rob remind the climbers of the lack of oxygen at the top of Everest, as well as the dangers of hypothermia and hypoxia. Adventure consultants and other expeditions move from base camp to Camp 2. They walk across a fixed ladder acting as a bridge hanging over a crevasse. Huge ice chunks break off and slide down under the weight of all the climbers, causing the ladder to shake, making Beck nearly fall over. He hangs on for dear life and is guided by Rob and the rest of the way over. The team gathers in a tent at night to discuss why they are climbing. Doug says that he wants to prove that an ordinary person can do the impossible. Yasuko wants to be the oldest woman to climb Everest. The teams encounter problems on their summit, such as several climbers begin to fall ill. Beck having trouble seeing due to a surgery he had a year before, and no fixer drops over the south summit, forcing some climbers to turn back. Beck stays behind on the south. A guy who is scaling the mountain next to Everest observes Rob and contacts them to make sure they are okay. Finally, some of the climbers start to make it to the very top and mark their spots on Everest. Rob contacts Helen back at base camp to inform her and the team that they made it to the top. She and the rest of the camp cheer the team on. Doug is still climbing, despite his health rapidly deteriorating and his oxygen levels dropping. Rob runs into him on the way down and he insists to Doug that it's over and that he gave it a good run. But Doug is not yet satisfied and decided he wants to keep climbing. Moved by his determination, Rob guides Doug to the top. A huge blizzard starts moving toward Everest, spelling trouble for the descending climbers. Rob and Doug get hit as the storm hits the mountain, forcing them to take cover. As they get lower, Rob notices there aren't any oxygen tanks where he requested, so he radios Helen to send some up. He and Doug keep walking as the winds intensify. Doug, barely conscious, unbuckles himself from Rob's guide rope. His dizziness, combined with the heavy wind, causes him to fall over the edge to his death. Beck's vision worsens, while Scott starts suffering from hypothermia, forcing them to stay behind from their respective group. Andy goes up to Rob, wherein Rob tells Andy that Doug is gone. Rob and Andy wait on the side of the mountain until it's safe to keep going. Unfortunately, Andy begins to feel the hypoxia, making him believe he is overeating, and he removes his clothes, leading to his death. Helen, sitting in the tent with Caroline and the guide, radios Rob and asks him to keep moving downward. He tells her that his hands and feet are frozen, and also that Doug and Angie are dead, bringing everyone in the tent to tears. Helen calls Jan and gets her to talk to Rob by putting the phone next to the walkie-talkie. Jan encourages her husband to get down safe, reminding him that he has to return for the birth of their baby. Rob is told by Helen that the people meant to bring him the oxygen tanks aren't coming because of the terrible conditions. He tries to keep moving his own, but even he knows he can't make it in his condition. He falls over and calls Helen again. She calls Jan again so that she can speak to him one last time. He tells her he is comfortable and asks how Sarah, the baby, is doing. Rob passes away under the snow and ice. Scott succumbs to the cold and lies in the snow to die. Helen calls Peach to tell her that Beck never returned to camp, which she must in turn tell her kids. Beck, however, despite being frostbitten, partially blind, and almost totally frozen, starts to get up and slowly head on back to camp. John spots him and radios Helen to let her know that Beck is alive. She in turn calls Peach to tell her the news. Together, they get a helicopter to fly up and bring Beck back. The helicopter is almost brought down by the winds and extra weight, but they succeed in bringing him down where he gets heated up. Helen and the other climbers return home. They are seen meeting Jan at the airport and tearfully hugging her. Beck also returns home and hugs Peach. The last shot is of Rob's body, frozen and almost completely covered in snow. The final text states that Rob's body is still upon Everest alongside the others that perished. We see photos of the real Rob Hall, Doug, Andy, Yasuko, and Scott Fisher.